Welcome to Activate Your Life, Awaken Your Soul's Expression. This is the podcast that goes deep into the realms of astrology, human design, homesteading, permaculture, self-sufficiency, inner work, and inner healing, everything that's supporting your own inner awakening. I am your host, Erin Esser, and it is an honor to be your guide on this amazing journey of self-discovery and transformation. Hello and welcome to Activate Your Life. This is Erin Esser, your host, and I'm very excited to be here with you. The day that I'm recording today is July 3rd. Now, you won't be listening to this message until, what would it be, the 11th of July? So if you're listening to this, it's at least the 11th of July of 2023. And I am doing something a little different today. We have just experienced the full moon in Capricorn. Like right now, the moon is at 12 degrees Capricorn and the sun is at 11 degrees Cancer, where the full moon happened at 11 degrees. So the sun has just gone past 1 degree off of that direct full moon space. It's where the sun and the moon are opposing each other in the chart. So most of the time, I and other people, will give updates or full moon, new moon, different transits before they happen. I'm doing it a little different. I'm doing this after it's happened. And here's why. Because reflection is key when it comes to astrology. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but it just did. Reflection is such a good practice because if we're only looking forward to possibly understanding how a particular transit or energy might affect us, the wisdom comes when we can look back on it and then say, oh, yeah, this was actually my experience with this energy or with this transit or with this full or new moon. I thought it might be this or this or this based on what everybody was talking about, but this has actually been my experience. So, like I said, you're listening to this at least a week and a day after the full moon. So I'm inviting you to reflect back on this time so what were you doing July 3rd? What were you doing 2 weeks before July 3rd in that time frame? Because this is going to give you an idea of these energies and how you are really here to move forward. And we don't know really how to move forward until we can reflect and learn how to reflect and see what lessons we've learned and see the wisdom that we've gained so that we can take that. And those are the seeds and we plant for the next step along the way. So again, I would say from June 20th, roughly 19th, 20th, go back to that in your calendar, in your to-do list, in your social media posts, and get a gauge of kind of where you were at. If you have a journal, go back in there. And what have you experienced during that time? And if you listened to the podcast that came out on July 4th, you may get a better idea of the energy of this full moon because it was very similar to what I talked about on July 4th podcast. So if you haven't listened to that yet, that is a good one to listen to as well. But so basically, what has been happening and the full moon energy of the 3rd. And I bring this up because this is a really big energy. We have been in an energy of really this inner space. If you are one that is, doing the work within yourself, right? You're looking at all the places within you all the shadow aspects, right? You've done work on your inner child. You've really know that your soul is here to do something, right? Maybe you don't know exactly what that is, but you feel it deep down, right? You feel this pull to move forward, this pull to create something so rich and something so aligned with the deepest parts of you. And this is really being exaggerated now and very much amplified. So with Saturn, so Saturn is in Pisces right now. And I bring that up because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, where this full moon was. And so he is bringing in the balance of awareness of how out of balance we may be, right? Between our emotions and our feelings and our responsibility to our soul, our responsibility to climbing that fucking mountain, right? That is the archetype of Capricorn, is the goat climbing the mountain. It's the goat getting to the top, seeing. So Sagittarius, the sign right before Capricorn, if you go around the zodiac, it's really amazing because every sign builds on the previous sign, the archetype. So Sagittarius is the centaur on the horse, right? That is like pointing to the mountain. It's like aiming this arrow, right? If you look at the archetype or the symbol of Sagittarius, you'll find that is aiming this arrow. Well, it's aiming it where you want to go. Now, Capricorn is the next sign along the wheel. Now, Capricorn goes, oh, I see that arrow there. I see where it's pointed. Now I'm going to go there and I'm going to do that mission. I'm going to climb that mountain and I'm not going to let anything get in my way. And if there's any obstacles in my way, I'm going to face them with courage and tenacity because I'm going to get to that top of the mountain. Now, what do you think would be the biggest obstacle along the way to that mountain? Our emotions. It's the feeling that we can't do it. It's the feeling that maybe we don't want to do it. The feeling I'm not in the mood to do it. The doubts of, can I even do this? Who am I to do this? What are people going to think if I do this? All of the emotions around that are surrounding all this affects our journey to the top of the mountain. So how in harmony or out of harmony has that been for you? Do you know what your responsibilities are to your soul, to your mission, to your purpose, to your own inner activation? And are you doing them regardless of how you feel? Because Cancer is where the sun is. So the sun and the moon are opposing each other in this full moon that happened on July 3rd. Cancer is our feelings. Cancer is our emotions. Cancer does not like to feel rejected. Cancer does not, it's a water, right? It's water and it's very much fluid. So in a way that, but it's all about home, right? It wants to feel comfortable. It doesn't like to be taken out of its comfort zone. And when you're climbing a mountain, you're going to be taken out of your comfort zone. So how comfortable are you to be uncomfortable? Are you allowing yourself to get uncomfortable right now in your life, to stretch who you thought you were to who you really are? And, this is really what is coming up as well, too, with just what I said when I said that, who you think you are versus who you really are, who others think you are versus who you really are, right? Because this full moon, this energy is squaring the where the nodes. So Cancer, Capricorn are those houses where those are at, those signs are going to be squaring where the nodes are going to be transitioning to. So we've had the nodes the last 18 to 20 months in Taurus and Scorpio. North node has been in Taurus, South node has been in Scorpio. They are switching to Libra, South node Libra, North node Aries, which squares this full moon. So there's going to be an awareness. There might be a little bit of uncomfortability or a challenge around climbing that mountain, all your feelings around it, and then bringing up for you who you thought you've been your entire life. And maybe the challenge within you of who you've thought you've been, your own identity that you've thought you are versus who you really are. And how you're really to move forward, right? Aries is very masculine. How I envision Aries, and you can envision it with me if you'd like, is like taking your right foot and you're moving forward towards something. That's how I think of Aries. Very much determined, like I'm going for it. So there's so much going on right now in the astrology. And what that tells me is there's so much going on within us. As above, so below, right? As the heavens are telling the story, they're telling the story of what's happening within each one of us. All the archetypes that are out there, right? That astrology allows us to see and to embody, all of those archetypes are alive and well within each one of us. And they're playing out their own story. So it's our responsibility, Saturn, to know what that is in your life. So what has that been over these last 3 weeks for you since that 19th, 20th of June? How has that played out for you? And with Saturn Saturn is traveling right now through Pisces. And with that tells me, because on the highest octave with Pisces, it's all about mysticism. It's all about our highest evolution. So Saturn's grounding that in. So Saturn's going to be bringing up for you, especially with this full moon, right? Because remember, Saturn rules Capricorn, where the moon is, right? So what is your legacy? What are you leaving behind? What are you working towards? And what type of legacy are you leaving? So this is heavy, and this is intense, and this is going to be very liberating for some and very heavy for others, depending on how you work with these energies at play. This is an opportunity to step in to a piece of who you are and who you've always been, but maybe haven't seen, and take hold of that, just like the Aries, right? So North Node's moving into Aries. South Node is in Libra. This is all about the relationship with yourself, the I, and the we. Libra is the we. It's the relationships. So it rules the first house and the seventh house. So it's all about who you think you are and who you really are. And seventh house is all about relationships, Libra. So the South Node is going to be highlighting that aspect for you of who do you have in your life? What are the relationships that you have in your life that are reflecting back to you? Maybe an old version of yourself, a past version of yourself, but maybe it's not the version of yourself that is going to allow you to move forward. So there could feel this tension there, an inner tension. So take inventory of all of your relationships in your life. The closest relationships that you have, your business relationships, your friendships, your, intimate partners. What do they reflect back to you? Do they reflect back accurately who you really are stepping into and the person that you are, they're like your truest soul expression? Or are the relationships in your life keeping you in a space where maybe it's worked for you for a while in your life, but you're outgrowing it? And you know that identity will not take you to where you are wanting to be. How do you see yourself? Is it accurate to how others see you? So I have a story on that. I have a tendency to and just being real with you, I have a tendency to see myself as either bigger than who I am or very much smaller than who I am. And that has really shown through recently for me. And, my ascendant is Leo. So my first house is Leo. That's my identity, right? And then Aries is my ninth house. So it's like, it's very much something that I've had to really look at and really be aware of. And I often, depending on who it is and who people are, I often think, oh, I am not there, or I am not, live up to that, or I don't have anything to offer, or, other people have more to offer than me. Even doing this podcast and getting, comfortable with this and being consistent is stretching me. It's because I'm climbing that mountain. And so I'm having to really look at myself and go, okay, where are all the feelings that come into that of like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I don't want to do it today. Or I don't really know what to talk about. Or is really what I have to talk about of value for others. All of those things come into play. But then I get reminded, because so many of my relationships have shifted, that that there is so much value in what I have to offer. And so there's this dichotomy, within myself of that going on. So I'm just sharing that with you, and hopefully you can start to see within yourself where that might be showing up too. So how you see yourself and how do you think others see you? versus how they really do see you, right? So for instance, I had a conversation with someone recently, and I was a little nervous to share my feedback on a company that I was working with that they had referred to me. And I thought, because there's times where I think of myself as I expect too much of somebody. But what I really do expect is communication and clear communication. And when I don't have that, I feel like it's a lack of integrity. I value clear communication. And this company it was over a month ago that we were going to talk about installing the food forests and things like that. And there seemed to be a break in the communication. And so I just shared this with this person I was talking about the other day. And my assumption was, I thought, oh, they're going to think I'm really negative. I'm not being, understanding enough, things like that, where it's really not what it was, but that's what I was thinking, right, about myself. When in actuality, in reality, I wasn't the only person that had an issue with this company. So, and it was about communication, and that's really all it was. And so it was so good to hear. I was like, oh, it was a reminder for me after this conversation to go, okay, as long as we speak with a clarity and grace, who we are, how we feel, what's coming up for us, we're going to be okay. If we don't do that, right? Had I not shared anything about that for myself, they wouldn't know, right? This company that's referring this other company, right? That really lacks in communication, that other people are having issues as well too. So this is valuable information to share, because now they have feedback and opportunity to have more clarity, right? So anyway, I share that with you so that maybe you can become aware of how you are seeing yourself, or some of maybe the insecurities or the assumptions you make about yourself that maybe you think other people have of you, but they actually don't. And those are just places within yourself that you have to remedy within you. Like for myself, those places of thinking, oh gosh, am I just being negative? I'm not. No, that's my own insecurity in there, that of the belief of, oh, if I'm real and truthful, it's not always pretty, right? And that's okay, because it's still valuable. It's how it's delivered, I feel, is the biggest thing. But anyways, so I just wanted to share that with you. And so basically, this is what needs to be shifted, in our consciousness, is this awareness, especially as the nodes are shifting to really focus on our relationships and our own relationship, because this is where with North Node and Aries, you're going to be getting highlights of how you have been showing up and who you are, who you really are. And if your relationships really reflect that back to you or not. And it's going to be a tough road for people who haven't made those shifts until now, because it's going to be blatantly obvious. So basically, going back to the full moon energies, what have you been feeling deep down as far as your responsibility to your soul? Because one of the things with Saturn ruling Capricorn and this full moon in Capricorn that happened on July 3rd, Saturn hates it when people do not take responsibility, or when they procrastinate, and when they drag their feet. So what is it that you've felt like you've just been pulled to do regardless of your feelings? And are you allowing your feelings, right? Because Cancer, remember, hates rejection. They want to feel comfortable, right? Cancer energy is like, I just want to take a nap right now, right? And so then Saturn's like, get your ass up, and you get out there and do it, and then you can rest later when it's done. Saturn's like, okay, I'll work before play kind of energy. And Cancer is like, but if it doesn't feel good, then I don't really want to do it. And Saturn's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's going to feel good when you're done with it. So Saturn's trying to see too, like, can you see to the top of the mountain? Can you see that when you do something that maybe in the moment you don't feel like doing, at the end, when you're done with it, you are going to feel satisfied. You're going to feel successful. You're going to feel, you're going to feel good about it. And then that Cancer side of yourself is going to be like, oh, I'm so glad I did this because now I feel like I'm really, truly nourishing myself. This is the feminine, masculine polarity here as well, too. Saturn's like, you got to create a structure around yourself so that you can support yourself in the highest way. And sometimes that takes, well, not sometimes, but that takes work. You don't get that for free. And Cancer's like, I just want to feel safe. Okay. Then Saturn's like, create the fucking structure so that you can feel safe. So, and that's up to each one of us to do that for ourselves. How amazing is that, truly? That these signs, if you look at the opposing signs on the wheel, on the astrology wheel, they are really working together. But we can get lost in the extreme of one or the other, right? So basically, like Saturn could be, like if you're too much into the Capricorn energy, right? Saturn, it's over responsibility, right? And not resting either, right? Not needing to nourish yourself, right? Or just doing things just to do things without any purpose in mind. Saturn's like, no, let's do this. I want to create this. I want to support this. I want to build this. I want to have this foundation so that, you know, I could feel safe in my house. And it has to be a firm foundation, right? But if you're too much in the Cancer energy, it's going to be like, oh, I'll get to that someday. And you don't have a foundation, right? It's that foundation on sand, basically. That's too much into the Cancer. And then wondering why you don't feel safe. And then blaming the masculine when it's your own inner masculine, the shadow of that within yourself that is not allowing you to take action and to do it and getting your feelings in check. So that's really what it is. And that might provoke some of you. And that's okay, because that is what Saturn is here to do. And that's also my 39 in energy and human design as well, too. But so let's see here. Oh, yeah. The other thing, too, with Cancer is, you know, are you taking things too personally, right? Because it's so sensitive, right? And so can you just like do it because you know you need to do it without getting all freaking uptight about it, and just do it. You know, today I'm recording 2 podcasts, and do I want to do that? I mean, yes and no. I mean, I would, there's other things that I need to do, but I need to do this, and I know I need to do this. And so I'm going to do it because I know at the end of it, I'm going to feel so satisfied. And that is when the rest comes. How amazing is that? So the other thing that I feel is coming up for each one of us as well, too, and see if this resonates with you. The words that you're speaking, or the words that others are speaking that are around you, is what you're saying coming true? For instance, this is just one example of many that I've had recently. My son's car broke down it was in Columbia, South Carolina, an hour away from where we live. And this was last night. And he said to me, the funny thing is that one of my son's friends said to him, was trying to encourage him to call out of work today. I said, well, just call out of work and tell them that your car broke down. And then he didn't do that. But then he's driving home and his car breaks down. So again, this is one example out of many that I've had, and even talked to several people. And this is really something that's happening in the collective with each one of us. So our words, I feel that with Saturn and Pisces as well, too, it's this manifestation power that Pisces has. It's this mystical theory, you know, just very much like in the mystical realms, in the higher realms. And Saturn's like, you better own your words. You better own what you're saying. And you better own your energy, because our words are powerful. So taking responsibility for our words and what energy are our words manifesting in our life. Because the other thing too is what you speak is the energy really that you're like showing up in, which is going to affect what you do. Meaning if you're going to take responsibility for your soul's calling, your soul's expression, or if you don't. So there's a relationship within this that Saturn is saying, okay, I got to own this. So be aware of that, the words that you speak, and focusing on what you really are wanting to create. Again, your legacy. So I will ask you this too. What houses do you have this, or did you have this full moon in? Look at this in your chart, and you can run your chart. You can find free charts on Astro Gold, I believe, is one. I think like Cafe Astrology. There's different ones. If you just Google search, run free astrology chart, you'll find something. All you'll need is your birth date, your time of birth, be as exact as you possibly can, and your location, your like actual physical location of your birth. So like city, state, if you're in the US country. So if you don't know your chart, if you've never run your chart, and if you are like, I don't even want to mess with that because I don't even know what I'm doing, reach out to me for a consult because I do this. You can just go to my website and contact me through there, or you can email me. My email will be in the show notes below, but it's Erin@erinesser.com. We can set up a consult right now to talk about how this is affecting you and your nodal shift and what houses this is in your chart, what houses this full moon was to show you the direction that you're moving if you're not aware of it right now, and how this nodal shift, because this nodal shift is going to be here with us for the next year and a half or so. So what that's going to be bringing up in your life. So for me, the full moon is in my 6th and my 12th house. So the sun is in my 12th house, and the moon is in my 6th house. So literally my daily routine, which is all 6th house, and my health, 6th house, has been completely back, like it just dialed in these last few weeks. And with Pluto here too, remember Pluto's at 29th degree here in Capricorn. So what is that, about 18 degrees away from where the full moon was, and coming back into this house of Capricorn. So wherever this house is for you in your chart is going to make a difference of what's coming up with you. There's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of powerful energy here. And there's a lot of, what I want to say, energy that is making a huge difference on where you are moving in this lifetime, or where you're not moving, right? So there's a lot of extremes in this house, especially with Pluto here. So, and the nodal axis, so look to see where you have Aries and Libra in your chart. And, for me, it's my 3rd and 9th house. So really this is about my own environment, it's finding balance within my own inner environment, my local community, but also a bigger, wider range of community, because it's 3rd and 9th house, my communication, how I communicate, how I think, to my beliefs, right? And all of that, and how that relates to me, and the relationship between those things. There's more to it than that, but that just gives a little brief synopsis. So if we have your chart, your full chart, we can see the relationship between where the nodes are. They might be on your sun or another planet. That might be a big, there's no one chart that is the same. You could be Leo rising like I am, and be like, oh, okay, yep, I know it now because my, 3rd and 9th house, 6th and 12th house, it's not the same because my other planets are completely different, right? So you could have the nodes that might be coming on top of, maybe you're in your nodal return, maybe you're in your nodal opposition, maybe the node's coming on top of your sun, or, Venus, or Mars or Jupiter or anything like that. It's going to make a big difference in the energy that you're going to be experiencing. So if you would like a more to understand how your next year and a half and the themes that might be coming up for you, get a hold of me and we can schedule a session. But I hope that you have at least found value in this, and you can reflect back on these last 3 weeks, because again, you're going to be listening to this at least on the 11th of, right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th of July, or after, and we're reflecting back on the full moon. What was coming up for you? Are these themes, do they resonate for you about responsibility and our feelings, about creating the foundation, creating the legacy that you're leaving, and then also the relationship with you and the relationship with others? How are your relationships reflecting back to you who you are, or who you think you are? And is that really who you are? So good things to ponder and good things to reflect. And I hope you found value in this. And until next time, think about this. What else is possible that you've never allowed yourself to even think about? And let the universe answer that. So I'm Erin, and I'm out.
Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes packed with wisdom and insights that will allow you to experience life in a more empowering way. Until then, stay inspired, stay curious, and always ask the question, what else is possible that I've never thought of before? Take care.